Hello, Scrappy friends. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my video. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. As you guys know, if you follow me at all, I love using sketches. They are very helpful for me to just get a jump start on my layout. Sometimes if I start creating my own page, I certainly can do that, but then I feel like all my pages start looking the same after a while. So that's why I love sketches, because it kind of changes it up. Sometimes it takes me out of my box and I can try something new and have a fresh look to my page. So we're going to spend the next few videos. I'm going to do a little series on sketches, and I guess I like to do mini series because it kind of stretches out the topic, and if I put everything in one video it would probably be super long, and so I like to break it up a little bit and do more creating and get more pages done. So this series we're going to take a look at this sketch, and this sketch that I'm going to highlight during this mini series is from the Creative Memories virtual crop from September of 2023, so just last month, and it's one of the sketches that they had that they offered. What I want to show using this sketch is how what we can do and how many different ways we can use the same sketch over and over by twisting it, turning it, flipping it around, and getting a totally different look with our layouts. Let's go ahead and get started, and we'll talk more about turning it, flipping it, all that as we go along. So let me go ahead and move the sketch right over here so it'll be side by side for a little bit as we talk about it. So let's look at detail of what this sketch is. So there's two border areas on this sketch. They have them going vertically off to the side, and a very simple plain border. So a way to change that right off is you can add a texture or a treatment or something to the border, but we're going to look at this just as they have it here. Okay, so they have two 1.5 inch borders on each side, and it's a layered border, so it has two pieces. So this yellow piece is 1.5, and then the purple is a 1 inch. They have it off to the side over here, and another one off to the side over here. Then you'll see there's two circle elements on this sketch, and I think that's what drew me to this sketch. I really feel like I've been drawn to circles lately, so I like the way they have it here. The top one is a 5 inch circle, and this bottom one, it says a 6 inch circle. So I went ahead and pre-cut those, and I have the 5 inch circle, and I'm going to lay it similar to how they have it laid out, and they have it overlapping the border a little bit. And then the 6 inch circle is down toward the bottom, and we can't really see how it's overlapped, except for we can see it's pretty close to the border there. So for now we could assume it's somewhere right around here. And that is the basic page design for this sketch. So let's look at their photo placement. So they have 3 vertical photos at the bottom and a 6x4 photo at the top. Okay, so let's add in those. Here are our 3.5 by 5.5 inch photos. Now these are very good sized photos and pretty easy to trim off of a 4x6 because that's really only a 1/4 inch off of each side. But to get all those photos on one page, we do have to overlap onto the border a little bit. So there's one there, and then we're going to cover up a lot of this circle and put one there, and then one right in the middle. Okay, I'm going to scoot them up a little just so it matches the sketch a little bit more. And what I'm going off of is how much of the circle I could see here between these two photos and how much of the circle I could see right there between those two photos. There's plenty of room up here, so they added a 6x4 horizontal photo with a photo mat, and this is a 6.5 by 4.5 inch photo mat, and it will go right here. Now to get it to fit nicely like they did, they overlapped their photos slightly right here. But you'll see there's also room, if you didn't want to overlap your photos, you could always scoot everything down just a little bit and put the photo mat just like that. Okay? But like I said, I am trying to keep it as similar to the sketch as possible. So I am going to overlay the photo mat just like that. I have a little bit of a border at the top. You want more of a border, you can always scoot it down. A lot would depend on the photos that you're going to place right there. This is a 6 by 4 inch photo. Fits very nicely up there on that mat. And then we'll bring in a title, which they have right here on the big circle. And they have their journaling spot down here. And you can do that, or you can bring in a little journaling card and do something like that where you're kind of overhanging both photos. My paper isn't really good to just write on, but if you use a little bit lighter paper here, you can do that. Or you can always have it maybe off to the side, something down here. So we have our title and our journaling. Then we want to look at where we would want to embellish. So they went ahead and they did a nice embellishment cluster right up here under the title. Then they have another embellishment cluster right down here, again overlapping the photo a little bit, but you really could play with that as you're putting together your page with your photos on it. And there we go. That is the layout right there, exactly how they intended it to be on the original sketch. So the first thing that we can do with any sketch is to turn it in all directions. So if we turn this clockwise, then we will have our borders at the top and the bottom. All we would have to do is maybe adjust our title and still have it here on this 5-inch circle. And then somehow maybe rotate our journaling, maybe stick it under our embellishment cluster down here. This works great if you didn't have vertical photos for the original sketch, but you had 3 horizontal photos and 1 vertical, then that's a great alternative to do. Just turn the sketch the other direction. Oh, and then we can always keep turning it clockwise. It has the exact same photo placement, but now our vertical photos are at the top and our big photo is down here at the bottom. And you can always turn this and turn this, or move them around each other like that. So same sketch, we're just keep turning it, and then one more clockwise turn gives us our big focal photo here. Again, 3 horizontal photos. I probably would switch and put my title right down here, which I think looks pretty good. And my journaling, maybe I would either bring it over here, let's go like that, and overlap, or I would still put it back here where it was, but you do have some room down here at the bottom, so you really could play with your movement of your journaling spot. And that's the first 4 layouts that you can get just from one sketch. Just keep turning it 90 degrees each time, and you'll just have you'll get a different layout all together. And if you did that several times within one album, nobody would even notice except for maybe you, and maybe unless you did it all in a row, then maybe somebody would notice. But other than that, if you spread it out throughout your whole book, nobody would even notice that you used the same sketch and you just flipped it, because of course your papers would be different, your photos would be different. And so if you find a sketch you like, there you go, you can use it 4 times already. Now let's look at some other things that we can do. I feel like having the 2 borders is a little bit crowded, so I might want to remove 1 border. Maybe you even want to remove both of the borders and have nothing and just have it like that so you can see more of this beautiful background. There's another alternative. It's the same sketch, we just removed the borders. Maybe you want to bring in a border punch. Give your photos down here a little bit of a shelf. Put your journaling here. I would probably move my journaling over here so I can see my circle, or maybe touching the circle slightly, and then my embellishment cluster on either side. Another way to instantly change up a sketch is to bring a mat behind the whole page. So in that case, I would trim the pink polka dots down to an 11.5-inch square and then mount it on top of a bottom piece, a 12 by 12 bottom piece, and you would get a little frame around the whole thing and create that frame style foundation. And that again, it changes up the whole sketch. Let's bring back in one of our borders and you'll see it just changes it all up ever so slightly. So yes, when you're trimming, you would want to trim down your borders as well. If you didn't have 4 photos and you only had 3, let's take all this off. You can do a couple things. Let's put our borders back in. And let's say you had 3 vertical photos that you can trim down and you place them all right here. You can bring in a journaling card and cover up that whole area and maybe write your journaling there. Or maybe this would better be suited for your layout is if your journaling box was at the bottom, then you just turn it around, flip it around. Another way to change up this sketch would be to take a 1-page layout and turn it into a double-page layout. So I would slide this border over here and basically make a mirror copy of it. So I would then cut out 2 circles and put them over here and continue the row of photos here, and then maybe another large photo right here, like to mimic this one. You can also take the 1-page layout and create a whole different look over here depending on all the photos that you had left. There's a possibility there of taking a 1-page and creating it into a 2-page, and then vice versa if you had a 2-page sketch and you wanted to make it into a 1-page sketch. So far we've talked about turning it 90 degrees and getting 4 layouts, changing up some of the elements. That would be 5 different ways, adding a frame style background, that's 6 different ways, and now making it into a 2-page sketch is 7 different ways. So there are just so many different ways that we can use one sketch, changing up our papers, changing up our photos and our elements, and so many ideas just with one sketch that we could just keep creating and creating. And so it's even better that these sketches are free because we get a lot for our value. But even if you were paying for a sketch, then you can see how you can get a lot of different uses out of it. So let me clean this up and we'll start our first layout in this series. Okay, so let's take a look at my first interpretation of the sketch. I went ahead and popped it up there in the corner so you can follow along and kind of remember what the sketch originally looked like. I'm not going to go too crazy out of the original sketch. I like that sketch. You saw I already have it cut out, so let's try a different version. So for today, I decided that I would look for photos that matched the photo placement in the sketch. I really loved how they got so many photos on the sketch. They have the 3 vertical photos that are 3.5 by 5.5 and a full size 4 by 6 photo, and I think that that's amazing to get that many photos on one page. So I wanted to stick to that. I like that. So I looked, I'm working on my daughter's school album, so I found her first day of 5th grade. And I'm going to be using the Summer Denim Paper Pack collection and some of the embellishments that go with that, because I think that the papers in here just go so well with what she's wearing on her first day. Okay, so let's put that aside and we'll get going. So like I said, I loved how they had the photo placement. I also loved those circles, and so between the two of those, that's the part I want to bring forward into my layout. So with my photos are slightly different because they use vertical and I had horizontal, but remember, I'm just going to turn the sketch a little bit. So let's go ahead and turn that sketch as well. Okay, there we go. And so the horizontal photos are now going off to the left-hand side. I like that. So let's go ahead and see what we have. Here's my one vertical. And then actually let's move these around. I'd rather have it like this, and then like that down there. There we go. And that's what they have. They have this photo slightly overlapping. And what I really love about having it this direction is that it's her first day of school. So I'm glad that my one vertical photo that I had is the one photo that I would want to highlight for sure, because it shows her in our front yard where we always took our first day of school photos. It shows her whole outfit, her backpack, her lunchbox, and this would be the one photo that I would want to highlight for sure. So I'm happy that that was my vertical, because it's going to kind of stand out because it's going to have its own mat. So it's going to go something like that. I'll overlap it ever so slightly. And then the other 3 photos are just as important, because it's her with her siblings, her with her best friend, and then her in her classroom. So equally as important, but I feel like those are more like supporting photos for her first day of school. First thing I would want to bring in is, do I want the borders? And if I do I want both? So I went ahead and made one of the simple borders. I did a 1.5 inch of that beautiful turquoise stripe, and then a little bit of the flower pattern paper right there. That's an inch strip. I'm going to slide that right up there. And here again, you can play with the distance that you want it from the top. That gives it yet another look, because you have a little bit of that brown popping through. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and put that up there. Again, that photo does have to overlap. And I'm not going to have anything at the bottom right now. I'm not going to make a duplicate border like they did in the sketch. As I was explaining in the previous segment of this video, I do feel like it got a little crowded. Okay, so at this point is when I would want to bring in the circle elements. I look at those circle elements as layers on our layout. I do want to bring those in, but I also want to bring in a few other layers as well. So I went ahead and made a border punch, and this is a coordinating cardstock to my paper, and I just used the citrus slice border making cartridge, and I think I'm just going to slide that right up under there. Okay, and then put my photo back. So next in the sketch, they have this one matted. So I do want to bring in a photo mat for that. And I'm using the same paper that I used in my border just to make it a little bit more cohesive. So my mat here is 6.5 by 4.5, but I want my photo to pop a little bit more and make this layout a little bit brighter. So I'm going to bring in a little bit smaller white mat and put it right on top like that. That way my photo just really pops right out of there. Now I like to look at these photos and decide if they need a mat. Now I wouldn't mat these individually, but what I like to do is to bring in some more of the pattern paper in my collection. And for that, I'm going to bring in this blue piece. It's the back side of the flowers. And I'm going to use that as a mat for these photos. And I'm going to trim it down. I don't want it to be a full 12 inches. I just want to see here how much I need. So I'm just going to line this up. These photos are 5.5 inches. I just went slightly bigger to a 5.75 inch width. So let's see, and I just want to have a little space between each one. So I'll be trimming this down ever so slightly. Okay, there we go. Yep, I like it a lot better. I just took the same concept that they had, but I just wanted to bring in a little bit more pop of color and to add that matte ever so slightly behind all those photos. And we still have those circle elements, and that is one thing I liked about the sketch. So I certainly do not want to forget about it. So for my circle elements, I'm going to bring in my custom cutting system and a couple of the circles. So I have the smallest, the medium one. I don't think I'm going to use the big one for this layout. So it's the smallest and the medium. My next goal would be to bring in some of the colors that I used up here in the border. So I already brought in the striped turquoise, so I think I'm going to use the flower paper. And let's see, probably have just enough width to get the outside circle with the red blade. So let's see here. Okay, and I think this will be the large element up here where the title will be. This paper to me just has that whole end of summer feel, and It's bright and beautiful and kind of even takes on a little bit of a juvenile look, having it on this layout with these photos of her during 5th grade. Okay, so let's see what else. I think I would like to bring in some of this. This is dark sea green. So I'm going to bring that back in, and I will make a smaller circle out of that one. Again, I'm just going to use the red blade on the outside. You know, following the sketch, which I do want to, you know, incorporate the same, I'm going to scoot everything over a tad. I can take this circle and tuck it right in here. And if you really wanted to, you can cut off half of that circle and only use half. I don't need a lot of journaling on this page, so I'm not going to journal there. That's just going to be a spot for my embellishments. But for my title, I do want to use this area right here. So for my title, I want to bring in a white piece of scrap cardstock and my favorite punch, which is the 3-in-1 beveled tag punch, because this is the title I want to use. And I've already picked out the letters from my stash. It says, "Oh hey, 5th grade." And it's going to go right up there. But I feel like it's going to get really lost in all of that if I don't put it up onto some white cardstock. So instead of just putting a piece of white cardstock, I thought it would be kind of fun to put it on a little tag. So let's see. I do want a 2.5-inch piece. I'm just seeing the best way to cut this here. There we go. 2.5 inches by, I like 4 inches, and that's pretty much 4 inches. Okay, let's get our punch out and make a punch. There we go. I'm thinking it's a little big, so I'm actually going to trim it down to a 2-inch. That's easy to do now that I have it all punched out. We'll just trim it like that. And let's see. And then I'm going to tuck this right under my title and tuck it ever so slightly under the photo. Just enough, and I'll probably put it kind of at an angle. So it says, "Oh hey, 5th grade." And so I'll get all that adhered, you know, somehow on that tag, and it will look like that. So let me go ahead and pause the video, and I will get all this adhered down, and we'll be right back to do some embellishing. But as I'm doing that, I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you to please click that like button. And if you want to go one step extra, leave me a comment. Both those things are so great for spreading my content through YouTube, and I really appreciate every time you do either or both of those. Okay, so thank you so much, and I'll be right back. Everything is adhered down the way we left it. I did go back and punch out another tag with this dark sea green, layered it up here just so my title would pop out a little bit more. Okay, so now I want to do some embellishing, and this paper pack came with some really cute embellishments, and I picked out these two from it because I thought this is super cute. It says "Pocket Full of Sunshine," and I just thought it would be kind of cute right over here, maybe extending off of that circle. And then this trio of flowers, which matches our paper, so I thought, why not? I love that. And so maybe just decorate down here with those somehow. I could even come down with this photo and have those like that. I think that's super cute, simple, and to the point. And over here, I would like to bring in some school elements since we are going back to school here. So I brought in some of my vintage stickers, and this one I thought was super cute because it says report card, and it happens to say 5th grade on it. So I'm going to definitely get that one in. And like I said, I think I'm going to bring that one up here. Maybe even, let's see, do we want the tag? I might put some string on that tag. You know what? I'm going to tuck it right under the Y right there and kind of have it hanging off like that. And then, you know what? I love the pencil. Let's take off the pencil. And I think I'm just going to add that right over here to kind of bring in a little bit of school. You know what? We can maybe bring in a little eraser as well. Kind of right off of our pencil there. So now we have a little bit of school theme over there as well. I would like to maybe bring in some books. This one looks like it was falling off. But yeah, let's go ahead and try that one. In fact, let's pull this one up and put the stack of books right next to it. Super cute. And maybe I have another pencil. Oh, a ruler. A ruler's cute. That gives us a little hint of school right there. And then for my finishing touches, the only thing I want to do is I do want to bring in a little bit of string for that. So I think I'm going to bring in a little piece of yellow twine because I feel like we have some yellow going on here and in the border. So I think this will just be just enough bit of yellow to kind of help it pop over here. I like to just slide it through and like that, make a loop, and then pull the bottom threads back through and give it a little tug. And that's it. I will trim that with my scissors. Okay, there we go. Super cute. And I could even bring it down a little and give it a little bit of glue down like that. I like it. I think that that's a great first look at how we can take that sketch and turn it a little bit different and create this layout very similar but yet very different as well. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that that sparked some kind of inspiration for you. And what I'm going to do is come back in a couple days with another version of how I take that sketch and create a whole different layout. So come back and join me. Let's see if we're going to create another one-page layout, or maybe we'll even stretch it into a two-page layout. So until then, everybody, take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.